so next time I go first. And then secondly, last night I was at home and I wanted a little bit of quiet time. I was doing some writing and I wanted to have a special moment, something that made me feel good. The thing I took out of the fridge was a bottle of sake. And these gentlemen over here are doing the most beautiful Japanese woodworking, which is such a craft, that, an amazing craft that they're doing, that I just want to make sure people get a chance to see what they're doing tonight and be patrons of the amazing work they're doing. So I want to see this. I was just like getting distracted. All right, I have 15 minutes. I just used 2 of them, so 13 minutes left. I just want to tell you very quickly what I do, what's going on at Senior Planet, a little bit of where we come from, where we're going, and give you guys a chance to chat with me afterwards, okay? 15 years ago, I was a kind of itinerant social activist, and I was working on projects in Lower Manhattan trying to help the neighborhood come back after 9/11. And an older woman in her 80s asked me if I would give her a little help with a computer. And that led to a Monday morning where she showed up with her breakfast and a napkin. And I asked her if she would help with, I said, take the mouse and just point to that button. And she took the mouse and she picked it up off the desk and she pointed at the computer. And I said, Pearl, what are you doing? And she looked at me and she said, well, you didn't tell me what to do. And I said, oh my gosh, we have a whole communications challenge here. I need to back up and learn more about what you're experiencing as an older person with technology. Because I grew up I was the first generation of people who played video games. I remember when they came out with like Pong, that thing that was like tennis. And so we played video games, and I was literally going to the arcades when people were coming in and taking the old pinball machines away and putting in digital video games. I remember that. And like I played skee-ball when I was a kid. So Pearl didn't know from this sort of operating a device and working a screen, but she was living in a digital world where everything was becoming technology mediated. And so every Monday morning from 8 to 9 for a year, she came to my office and we worked together. And from that moment, I realized what a powerful thing it is to, first of all, listen to older people. I was like 45 years old and I thought I knew things, which is totally not true. And she really gave me incredible insight into what was going on in the world that she lived in, where she came from. She was a veteran, an activist, and the technology really helped unleash a lot of her potential in her later years. I remember one day we were having a conversation. She was talking about going to the 92nd Street Y for a dance class. Just talking about dance. And I sassed her. She's like 89 years old. I was like, you're going to a dance class? Really? Come on. Like, you're like leaving me behind to go do this thing? And she grabbed me by the arm and she was like looking at me and she said, I need to tell you that the years since I turned 75 have been the best years of my life.
Hey.
She said, the best years, but she said when I was younger, I would not have gone to a dance class because I didn't feel good about my body. And here she was in her 80s telling me that she felt better about herself. And it really opened up this issue about like what's possible when you do things that really wrap around what older people are doing. Not my preconception, or not something you read in a book, but just go out in the community and talk to people. So from that day, we started creating classes at OATS. I started a nonprofit called Older Adults Technology Services, which is OATS, and that was 15 years ago. And we decided to do a few things differently. We decided to teach classes based on what older people actually wanted to learn, and based on their learning styles. So shorten up the class period a little bit, make it very interactive. Don't fill it all up with our content, but let people bring their own knowledge and experience and perspective. Make all the content very relevant, specifically written for what people want to do. They want email, they want internet, they want to go on Facebook, they want to do the things that are very mainstream, and so we built that first. And while we're at it, let's not charge for the classes. It's a social problem. You're 85 years old, you've never been on the internet. Is that your fault, or is that like a social challenge that we should be solving together, right? So we said, let's get foundations and other people who can donate, let's get the local politicians to kick in. And we started building this operation like $5,000 at a time, and now, 15 years later, we're a $6 million nonprofit. In New York City, based in New York City, we are based here.
Is it a worldwide organization?
We're in 6 states.
Okay, so not scenes.
We are in Israel. We're getting that. But she's giving me questions.
Because my family's in England, so I need to speak
Aha, well I can talk to you after about we have a group that we like. So
But we hold the questions till the end.
hold the questions.
Tom said he'll stay for a while and answer the questions.
Okay. So basically we're in 6 states now. We are in New York. We're in upstate New York because we really care about rural elders. There's a whole thing going on, if you haven't noticed, in rural America where like 40% of the population is over the age of 60 and their internet access is really dodgy. Yes, I love that thing. And really dodgy internet access and a lot of challenges for people that have aged in place in their communities that were the backbone of these towns, and then the towns kind of left. And so we talk to people in places like Plattsburgh, where we have a center, and Watertown and Potsdam, where we're teaching right now, like today. And they're saying like they don't have contact with almost anybody. You know, they live in very dispersed houses, they don't drive as easily, and so sometimes that technology becomes one of their critical lifelines. But again, you have to set it up so people can succeed. You don't just drop a flyer on their doorstep and say sign up for, you know, Comcast or something. You have to really be out there and help people learn. And so we've been able to get support to work in upstate New York. We're in Montgomery County, Maryland. We're in Palo Alto, California. We're all over Colorado. We're in South Florida and Broward County. And we're in San Antonio, Texas with this amazing project. Humana gave us $1 million to work, amazing, right? $1 million to fight social isolation for older people in San Antonio. So we have programs all over San Antonio, and older adults there are taking over community spaces, and they wear their Senior Planet t-shirts, and they're like super militant. So the politicians come in, they're like, we need more computer classes, we want a fitness center, like they're really activated. And it's really cool to see what people are doing with it. We've become sort of a platform for people's engagement. We were in the MIT Tech Review last month as that was highlighting the entrepreneurship of the seniors, talking about the impact of that, which is really cool. The workforce stuff is really powerful. We have entrepreneurs that are starting businesses all over the centers, and last week we did an online, you can see this on, Senior Planet has a YouTube channel, and last week we live streamed it, but you can watch it now still. We did a fashion show highlighting a half dozen older adult fashion designers who are designing awesome things, everything from knitwear to hats to shirts, and then they modeled them at the center. It's like ridiculously awesome, and people all over the country are watching, and we're encouraging people to buy from older people so that we can create more economic productivity for folks and help bring people into the mainstream, because it's not that older people need us, it's we need seniors to be part of our lives. You know, we need a world where people are using technology to do that. So it's just like a basic intro to what we're doing, but I can tell you, snapshot today, we are still growing. We're looking at new programs all around the country. New York City is still our home. We're at 45 locations this calendar quarter, all around the city. All of our classes are free in the city. And Senior Planet on 25th Street is between 6th and 7th. On 25th Street, you can't miss it if you walk down the block, it's right in your face. And the people will like welcome you in. The classes are free, it's open during the day. There's no requirements to join except to be over 60. You can be from China, you can be a recent immigrant, you don't have to speak English, you can speak Spanish, we teach in Chinese and Russian. We're really active with people, but just really, we're looking for people that are looking to come in and be about transformation, right? They're learning technology. I don't care if people use an iPhone or click a mouse or join somebody's, you know, particular tech platform. What I care about is how are we as a society using these tools to create sort of the next generation of experiences for older people. And Senior Planet is really a home for people to bring your own eclectic selves. You can be yourself, you can be gay, you can be black, you can be, you know, very religious or an atheist or Jewish or whatever you need to be, tall, short. You can be 60 in one day or you can be 100, because we've taught across that range. And people are really welcome. Has anybody here been to Senior Planet? Have you been in it yet? All right, you've been there. All right, I've seen you. And do you feel welcomed?
Well, absolutely. But I'm bringing a different reality into seniors.
That's what we're looking for. So we want people to bring their own perspective. No, because people are welcome, and we're able to embrace that because we don't have a preconception of who you are or why you're there. So the technology is a starting point. We can teach you pretty much anything you need to know. The courses go for 10 weeks, so they're pretty engaged. And then we're really doing that to build sort of a new generation of programming out there. So I'll be around. If you are looking for us online, we're at oats.org, oats.org, like oats like the cereal, .org because we're nonprofit. If you want to see Senior Planet, it's seniorplanet.org. Getting the hang of this. If you need to email any of us, you start with info@oats or info@seniorplanet. You'll get us. You get to me. Okay, that's really the easiest way. I can give cards out as well. But if you don't get a chance to talk to me, you want to follow up, oats.org, seniorplanet.org, info at either of those locations. And the address on 25th Street is just drop in Monday through Friday, 10 to 5. It's totally free and easy to get in. Okay?